Let me tell you something strange. After 20 hours of negotiation, the United States and Iran didn't fail because they disagreed. They failed because they understood each other perfectly. And that's exactly why everything collapsed. This wasn't a normal diplomatic meeting. It looked more like a controlled standoff. The talks didn't even happen in the same way you might imagine. Both sides were separated. No phones, no direct communication. Messages were passed back and forth through intermediaries. Even senior officials had to leave the room just to make a phone call. This wasn't diplomacy. This was pressure. And after more than 20 hours, fatigue set in. Tension escalated. Voices were raised. At one point, the situation nearly spiraled out of control. So why did the negotiation fail? Because of three core conflicts, none of which could be compromised. One, the nuclear issue. The United States demanded one thing. Iran must never develop nuclear weapons. But Iran shifted its position. Instead of stepping back, it pushed forward, not only continuing uranium enrichment, but demanding the right to do it openly. And once that line is crossed, there is no agreement. Two, the Strait of Hormuz. Then came the second issue. Control the Strait of Hormuz, one of the most critical oil routes in the world. The U.S. wanted it open. Iran wanted leverage at one point. It even turned into a form of control over passage. And once a global trade route becomes a bargaining tool, the conflict is no longer regional. It becomes global. Three, money and sanctions. The third issue was simple. Money. Iran demanded the release of frozen assets. Completely. No deductions, no conditions. But from the U.S. perspective, that would look like defeat. And no administration is willing to sign a deal that looks like losing a war. But all of these issues point to something deeper. The real reason the negotiation failed is simple. The United States applied pressure, but Iran didn't break. And in any negotiation, if pressure doesn't work, power disappears, because negotiation only works when one side believes it cannot continue. But if a country is willing to endure, willing to absorb losses, willing to keep going, then the negotiation stops being about agreement. It becomes about survival. And something did change inside Iran. The structure itself evolved. Moderate voices weakened. Hardliners gained influence. And more importantly, the system became less centralized, which means there is no single decision maker who can simply end the conflict, no single command that can stop everything. And that makes the situation far more unpredictable. Now zoom out, look at the bigger picture. When the Strait of Hormuz is unstable, oil doesn't just stop locally. It affects global supply. Energy prices rise, inflation spreads, and economic pressure builds across countries. What started as a regional conflict begins to reshape the global system. So this negotiation didn't fail because of communication. It failed because of balance. Because in the end, talks don't determine outcomes. Power does. And when power is evenly matched, conflict doesn't disappear. It evolves.